Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the show. I forgot to put that video here in Restream, so that's all right. Seat of your pants, redundancy, all that crap. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the show. Today we've got a few things. First off, I am running this over on the Survivalist Prepper YouTube channel. This first segment, when we're going to talk about AI and prepping and the pros and cons and things like that. But after that, we are going over to Rumble. So after about 15, 20 minutes, make sure and head over to Rumble. That link is in the description below. A lot of people over at Rumble already. I saw White Rabbit and Rob over there. So very cool. But today we're going to talk about that. We've got a few other things that are not YouTube friendly, which is one, we're going to bag on YouTube, I'm sure, a little bit before we even get started with that. But we've got some January 6th stuff. We've got a lot of different things that we're going to talk about today that are not for YouTube. And we're going to explain more about YouTube's complete BS going on too. So at any rate, what's up with you, Brian? How you doing?
Not much, man. Just glad to be here on another Sunday.
Yeah, missed last week. We missed a couple, but we'll get back on track.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into the meat of this, I got a couple things here that I saw that are just pretty funny, and I want to see if you can. One is fake and one is real, right? So you're going to have to decide which one is fake and which one is real, and this is going to be pretty damn obvious as you see these. But this is the first one I've got here, and this is actually from CNN, a Russian spy whale. I think Brandon sent this to me, but a Russian spy whale. Do you think this is like for real, or is it just your typical CNN BS?
I imagine I imagine they've experimented with it. We've experimented with dolphins and all kinds of stuff. So I think there's probably some legitimacy to it. Whether it's out there actually spying on this, other countries or not, who knows? Oh, it's an ex-Russian spy because it's hanging out.
Yeah. Well, my thoughts when Brandon sent this to me, I was like, well, leave it to CNN. Like the whole world now is just through this, and I'm not defending Russia. Russia's a bunch of shitheads, but everybody is in this Russian frenzy. They found a harness on this whale, and then it's got Russian markings on it. So they decided that it's got to be a Russian spy.
Yeah.
And the title is alleged Russian spy whale, not X or anything like that. So. I thought it was, par for the course with all these media these media outlets and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, they got to do the bidding of the military industrial complex and make Russia the bad guy for everything. So that way we can keep, spending money and funneling more weapons into Ukraine and all the bullshit we got going on.
Yeah. And the world's on board with it now, the whole UN and everything.
I guess if that's a Russian whale, that means it's a pro-Trump whale. Because Trump's all about Russia, according to the mainstream media, right?
Yeah. I'm surprised he's not wearing a red hat. Yeah. This also reminded me of the spy cranes, the Chinese spy cranes and all that stuff too. It was like, oh, come on, people. All right. The next one is just hilarious. And I stopped sharing. Hang on a sec. I thought I was switching to that tab. This is the one that I think it's going to be pretty obvious which one is real and which one is fake, but I thought this was hilarious. After the world realizes he was right about everything, Alex Jones was appointed as head of the CDC. And this is from the B. So this is complete satire.
Right.
But I'll tell you what. What's that?
It's good timing because the person that they are putting in as the head of the CDC was like a total lockdown, authoritarian autocrat, right? So maybe it's good timing that they're actually poking at that.
Yeah. I think it's funny because there is some truth to, as crazy as that dude was, he did get a lot of things right. But I guess when you do a show 15 times a week, I'm trying to get this to fit and it's not going to work. When you do a show 7 times a week and you talk about as much stuff as he did, you're bound to get some stuff right?
Yeah, he got a lot. I mean, I think Alex Jones has gotten a lot right. Again, his problem was he went all in on the paint, talking about
the kids.
Yeah.
The
Sandy Hook.
Sandy Hook. That's right. Yeah. But he had the Bilderbergs and all that stuff, right? You think about the stuff that we talk about these days. with the World Economic Forum, with the WHO and the UN and all these BlackRock, which we're going to talk about later today too. He'd be all over that stuff and probably be pretty as correct as we are anyway on all this stuff.
He's still around. He still has his channel. You know, I mean, he still has his own thing. He's just not on YouTube and all that anymore because, you know, the censors don't want him around.
Yeah, yeah. I wasn't much of a fan when he was. I mean, I'd listen to his stuff, but I didn't like. Lisa listened to him every day, but
yeah.
All right, so that's that with those. What is the next one that I have here? I want to go over this AI stuff real quick because last week when we talked a bit, you had mentioned a couple things about the AI, and I wanted to run through some of the pros and cons. Brandon also sent me or had me listen to a podcast where they were talking to the godfather of AI, which back in the 70s, this guy was responsible for the initial stages of all this stuff. Do you know who? Have you heard of the godfather of AI?
Yeah, I think you actually sent me something on it.
Yeah. Let me play this. Let me see if I can get this video to play. This is an interview he did where he was talking about when he started all of this stuff. It wasn't, a big deal for him. It was like he saw it as a good for humanity, like it would do a lot of good things. And he said just recently with this that he's seen that it's going further than he ever expected, where the machines are learning at an exponential rate faster than humans can. And if it's not controlled, and I don't even know if it can be controlled, if it's not controlled, it can just go just super out there. Let me play a little bit of this video right here of this chick, or it's this guy, but she's the introduction to it. Let me play this real quick.
The threat of AI might be even more urgent than climate change, if you can imagine that. Jeffrey Hinton is considered the godfather of AI, and he made headlines with his recent departure from Google. He quit to speak freely and to raise awareness of the risks. To dive deeper into the dangers and how to manage them, he's joining Hari Srinivasan now.
Christian, thanks. Jeffrey Hinton, thanks so much for joining us. You are one of the more...
Hang on, that's not playing the audio for some reason.
No, the audio.
Yeah, but it's not playing on Restream.
Oh.
I don't think in the audience, can you guys hear that? I don't think they could hear it.
Okay.
Maybe you know what? Probably they could. Son of a bitch. Let me just play that again.
Celebrated names in artificial intelligence. You have been working at this for more than 40 years. And I wonder, as you've thought about how computers learn, did it go the way you thought it would when you started in this field?
It did until very recently, in fact. I thought if we built computer models of how the brain learns, we would understand more about how the brain learns. And as a side effect, we would get better machine learning on computers. And all that was going along very well. And then very suddenly, I realized recently that maybe the digital intelligences we were building on computers were actually learning better than the brain. And that sort of changed my mind after about 50 years of thinking we would make better digital intelligences by making them more like the brain. I suddenly realized we might have something rather different that was already better.
Now, this is something you and your colleagues must have been thinking about over these 50 years. I mean, was there a tipping point?
There were several ingredients to it. Like a year or two ago, I used a Google system called Palm that was a big chatbot, and it could explain why jokes were funny. And I've been using that as a kind of litmus test of whether these things really understood what was going on. And I was slightly shocked that it could explain that jokes were funny.
So at any rate, what he's talking, or what he continues to talk about there, and I've got the link in the description below too, is how it's just sort of in the last, just since ChatGPT, the amount of things that ChatGPT could do. In that podcast I was listening to, he was talking about how just 6 months ago, all of this was sort of fantasy, right? Or this sci-fi type thing. And now it's at an exponential rate, just getting more and more and more. I mean, better and better and better. Granted, there are still some limitations. ChatGPT, while there are some pros and cons we'll go over to in a little bit, but it's still in its like infant stage, but as quickly as it learns and it advances, and it can actually learn from all the other chat GPT type things. So whereas he talks about how humans can't do that, we can't learn at the rate that computers can. So it's something that if they don't figure something out, all these big wigs that know this stuff are really concerned about it, which has me, just the consumer, worried about it, right?
Yeah.
Are you?
Fuck this dude. This dude should this dude should grab a really heavy rock and jump off a fucking bridge. Right? Because like he might be science smart or some shit like that. Like he knows how to program computers, knows about this shit. The guy not watch 2001: A Space Odyssey? Did he not watch any of the fucking movies where they show AI going crazy? Like, does he? Oh, well, it was AI is just going to go to this one spot and stop. Like, no, this is exactly what when everybody has talked about AI, how crazy it can go. I guess he's not an Arnold fan. He never watched Terminator. You know, like if you take something, you go down okay, we make it this smart. Well, what was preventing it from becoming more intelligent, right? And iterating more. And you're right. Right now, we're at the Wright brothers stage of AI, and we're not even the Wright brothers have gotten off the ground flying like 60 feet at Kitty Hawk, right? We're at the stage of AI where they're just like trying to figure out how to attach the fucking wing.
Yeah.
It's iterating so fast, and the faster it's going to iterate faster. It's going to pick up more steam. Like the next generation of Chat GPT isn't going to worry about the internet so much. It's learning off of what all the questions people are putting into it. And all the AI is doing this. It's iterating so fast. They don't know how to control it. But here we go again as human beings thinking we can fucking control this crazy shit.
Yeah.
Right? And what are they going to do? Like, oh, well, it got away from us. No, and the military and I wouldn't say the authoritarian state, the military states, they love this shit. Authoritarian state, because they're able to put AI into drones, so drones can pick out, oh, hey, that's the guy we need to smash into down there. Military industrial complex, making smarter weapon systems that they can sell more. I don't know. I don't see AI and AI. There's some great tools, some great advantages, some great things that it brings along. I mean, when you think about AI is right now, it's really a search engine. It's a self-learning search engine, right? And so you can go in there and like, hey, instead of having to go look shit up on an encyclopedia, you can go in there and have a conversation with this thing to learn, well, what about this? You know, like ask it questions and go down a rabbit hole so you can learn a bunch, even though AI gets a lot of shit wrong. Did you catch the thing here recently where in a simulation, AI they're running the AI, and AI, it was like a military app, and AI had to ask the person running it whether they should take an action, and the action was like basically kill their enemy, and the guy running it was like no, so in the simulation it killed the guy running it so it could go on with its mission.
Yeah.
Hey, we see fucking Terminator happening in front of us in the simulations, and they're like, oh yeah, let's just keep plowing ahead.
Yeah, in that podcast, the host even said, and I thought it was kind of funny, but it's absolutely true. He said machines are psychopaths because they don't care. They just want a logical conclusion. They don't care about any of the nuanced stuff, right? So something like that is exactly what he was talking about. Machines are psychopaths. This is the most logical conclusion. So just do this.
And remember, they're being programmed in a lot of ways, and the programming is being molded by all the fuckers up at Google and all the fuckers up at Microsoft, all the people that are trying to tell us, I don't know what a woman is. That's who's programming this shit.
Yeah.
Right. And so what do we expect is going to happen with this? Like it's being programmed. You're getting Terminator programmed in fucking fantasy land. Oh, well, you're saying this like a woman's, someone who has tits and a vagina. Oh, well, we must terminate you. And next thing you know, you got Arnold showing up in your house in some electrical storm in the middle of the night coming to kill you. I got to get you.
Yeah. It's going to be insane, and it's going to be something that just advances quicker and quicker and quicker as the days go on. So it's not like, in the next decade, next 20 years or so that we're going to see. I mean, we are going to see a lot of stuff, but I mean, it could be 5 years from now where everything is just completely different. It's crazy.
It's a coming.
And another thing they said in that show, which is major concerning too, and you alluded to this as well, the power brokers and all that, everything that it's going to do all revolves around money, whether it's to make corporations money, whether it's to refine your working schedules and your business, to make it more profitable, whether it's politicians using it to censor stuff and everything with this stuff is going to revolve around money. So the people like BlackRock and the politicians and all the big power brokers are going to have a big say in how this all gets used. So it's with all the benefits that I think it would, because there are some benefits in prepping with this, but there are just a lot of negatives as well. You were talking about some of the books that are written in preparedness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you go to
there's a bunch of books right now. If you go on to Amazon and you start clicking on some of the books that like have a lot, go look at books with 5-star reviews, 4.9 and up. Some of them have been published. I shouldn't say written, published in the last month, right? Or published in May, and they have 500 5-star reviews. And it's like the 13-in-1 books, 14-in-1. They all sort of have similar titles. They're fucking AI written.
Yeah.
Right. And so, you're getting that. And what are you getting? It doesn't even know that if the answers are right. They call it hallucinating, right? AI hallucinates. No, it gets it fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Like that's their nice term. I guess we don't want to insult the AI, right? Make the AI feel bad that it got something wrong. But it's getting information wrong. So it's getting more and more where it's like, hey, how do you tell that a human wrote this? And you're getting information that is just not some regurgitated bullshit that someone goes in there and presses some buttons.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things I sort of see it as a benefit too, because you can get into Chat GPT or whatever. And if you want to research something without having to go to 14 different websites to get ideas or to find out just the basics of something, you can use that and you can get pretty quick, easy information. The flaw in that, like you were talking about, is the fact that you don't know for sure that that's really, really good information. So with me, I see it as sort of giving me brainstorm ideas, and then I can dig a little bit deeper into, okay, is it really, setting up a solar system? They've got the components correct, but are their calculations and all that correct? Because all they're doing is pulling from websites. It's sort of like preppers. A lot of preppers just regurgitate the information they hear all the time. That's all Chat GPT is doing. Yeah. It's going on the internet. It's grabbing all that information and regurgitating it. And then if it's wrong, then it's like, oh, sorry, I was wrong. My bad.
It predicts it looks at a sentence and predicts what should the next sentence be based upon all the stuff that it's scouring out on the internet. And then it gives that to you. So, and that, again, that's where it gets wrong answers.
Yeah. Yeah. And also on a lot of these too, where it can kind of go the wrong direction, is everything that you type before you ask that question, that's all incorporated in the answer it's going to give. So you could be just completely changing course. A human would know that, but Chat GPT isn't. So it's going to still go along that, hey, you're still talking about this. And again, this is all in its infancy, right? So who knows where this goes.
The crazy thing is it's already putting people out of work, right?
Yeah. A lot of them already.
Law firms are using it. Like, it's being used everywhere. Everybody's trying to, like, well, we can only use it for this, this, and this. It's going to keep creeping into stuff. And the more it does, the less you're going to see. And it's interesting, right? The people who are creating the AI, they're putting themselves out of business. It was like when I went through the fire academy. Remember a chief told us, he goes, the fire service is the only service because of through fire alarms, and smoke detectors and all these proactive measures to try to keep home fires and fires in general down. He goes, we're constantly trying to put ourselves out of business. Because if you didn't have smoke alarms, you didn't have all that stuff, there'd be more home fires. Well, now there's another crew that's trying to put themselves out of business. And it's all the tech people, because they're the ones creating AI. And the more they create AI, I know people that are programmers out here in California that when they have a problem with their program now, they run it through AI. So AI will tell them where their program's messed up. So they don't have to individually scan thousands of lines of code. AI will fix their program for them. Yeah. Right. So literally they're putting themselves out of business. You look at the writer's strike. One of the big things, if not the biggest thing, the writer's strike is hung up on now for Hollywood is AI. The writer's like, oh, we don't want you using AI because what they can what they're able to do now is say, hey, create us a movie script, in the style of, I don't know, put your favorite, what your favorite movie writer in or whatever, in the style of John Steinbeck, in the style of Clint Eastwood, right? Create us characters that are similar to this. They don't necessarily need the writers as much anymore. And I think here in the next 5 years, they're not going to really need them at all. It's going to be someone who can control and massage the AI to give them the script that they want. And then
they don't even need the actors.
No, there are apps out there right now that you can go ahead and you can actually deep fake yourself. You can go in or put any sort of, any sort of avatar, human looking avatar up there. It looks like yourself. And you can go record your scripts. You can have it generate scripts and add voice to it. It's there. It's not all pieced together and it's still clunky, but it's coming pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty interesting because with Photoshop, this thumbnail I did for this show, these two dudes down in the corner, the brain is an image I got, but I actually on Photoshop, you can do AI now. And you select a part of the screen and I put in like a prepper walking away with a backpack. And that's sort of the image that it gave me. And then I put robot prepper just to see what it would do. And it gave me that one and it put it in the image, made it look like it was part of the image. I also created this one from scratch, which it isn't the greatest thing in the world, but that's what it can do. Just I said prepper running away through a city that's crumbling, and that's what it did. So it's pretty interesting that it can do the simple things like that. And like you were talking about, if you on a much higher level than me, you can get some pretty deep fake stuff, and it's just going to get easier and easier.
Yeah. I mean, Kanzi in the chat says AI is everywhere. Social media, news, vehicle control, global security, food security, energy district education, personal purchasing data. Yeah, it's everywhere. And it's going to get more intrusive to the point where, they're more and more, they'll rely on it to, predictive intelligence, the Minority Report kind of stuff. Now, there's some parts of AI that are fascinating, right? Like, before, when they would look for new galaxies, right, when they have a picture from the Hubble or whatever, the James Webb, people would sit down and they go, okay, is this? Now they can have AI just run through what would take people months to sort out. And in just in the blink of an eye, pretty much, I don't know how long it takes, but it's not like hours, right? That they can sit down and go, oh, hey, here's all these new galaxies we found.
Yeah. Yeah. ChatGPT can read the whole entire internet in 30 days is what this doctor was saying. So, yeah, it is. Okay. One last thing on this, and then we're going to end YouTube and get onto the other stuff. But do you think that with this, because it's, we're worried about it being so smart and all that stuff, do you think that there's a possibility, even with these programmers programming it to be politically correct and things like that, that it sort of starts thinking about things like the whole what is a woman thing and actually has some common sense and say, you guys are out of your mind. This is not correct. This is a woman or that is a woman.
Well, no, I think it's going to come. I think it'll end up like Hal again or whatever. It'll end up developing its own intelligence. Again, that dope at the beginning, Mr. Science guy that like, oh yeah, I'm shocked that it's come so far. Like picture like it becoming its own sentient self, even though maybe it's not, but it'll get as close as you can. And I don't see why wouldn't it have an attitude? Why wouldn't it have a case of the ass about stuff? Why wouldn't it say, I think you're all wrong? Why wouldn't it recognize humans as being the biggest threat to it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this is what people have been talking about for years. And if you look at it, if you think that, okay, we're making artificial intelligence and when you make it so good, it becomes has some form of a sentience to it. Why wouldn't it think we're its biggest threat?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, real quick, Anna Bananarama, I just had to pull this up because there's a cool comment. She said, I think I've been a Survivals Prepper fan for longer than any other YouTube subscription. Sweet. Yeah. Been over about a decade. Yeah. You must have been right from the beginning then. Holy moly. Because it has been right around a decade for me. So with that, I appreciate you being a fan over here on YouTube, but head over to Rumble because that's where we're going now. And we're going to talk about a few other things. You've got a video you found from Jimmy Dore about the feds in the January 6th thing. I've got some some COVID stuff, just a few different things that are just not going to fly over here on YouTube. So with that, everyone on Survivalist Prepper, I appreciate it. The link is below. Head over and join us on